Hello, my name is Stuart Tan. I'm from Singapore and I've been a veteran in the speaking, training and coaching industry for the last 29 years, having spoken to well over 500,000 people across the world. I'm here to share my expertise in terms of mindset development, leadership development, and also the psychology behind neuro-linguistic programming so that people can elevate themselves to a level that transcends their pain and suffering and where they can take actions to abundance. Hey there, Stuart, and I just wanted to touch on the topic of focus. What was I supposed to say? Oh, focus. And of course, a lot of people will say that it's difficult to focus these days because of the attention economy, right? Everything is grabbing your attention from WhatsApp to Facebook to LinkedIn to YouTube. However, there are ways around it. I'd like to highlight maybe 3 or 4 of them, and I'll go through each of them in quick succession. Number 1, the ability for you to change your states. State change is not a very surprising thing. I've covered this in previous videos before, but this is just one thing where you can change the physical posture of yours by adopting postures that might be powerful to you. So Amy Cuddy did some research in terms of power poses, standing like Wonder Woman, standing like Superman, and you tend to get into those states as if you were those superheroes. It's really just make-believe. Having said make-believe, it's also about how you put things inside your mind. What do you believe? What do you want to believe? And on top of that, once you're able to put good pictures inside your mind, good expectations. Like, for example, whenever I want to feel confident, I think of times where I was confident before and then live into that moment so that in my memory, I have a sense of belief that I can actually do it. So by shifting my emotional state, it actually gears me more towards the kinds of actions that are going to help me to focus much better. Number 2, to be able to shift your focus, you can shift the eye gaze and your breathing. So this is a set of strategies I learned through the research of Andrew Huberman. He was doing some separate research from his lab in Stanford, and one of the things he brought up was the idea of pupil dilation. I've come across this many years ago, and one of the interesting things is when you're stressed up and you're tense, you tend to have focused eye vision. Whereas if you are relaxed, you tend to have dilated eye vision. So why not apply that? Whenever you want to get into focus, zoom in. Imagine you've got blinders and just zoom into the thing that you need to get done. Whereas if you want to relax and you find that you have a lot of tension around your eyes, for example, then step back, start to observe the periphery around you through the side of your eyes rather than just having focal vision all the time. The second thing that he recommended was to use your breathing. So for example, when we breathe in very heavily, like this, it's more likely to add to the tension. I'm sure you can test that out and it'll feel a little bit stressful. And I found that when I did it this way, in other words, my out breath is longer than my in breath, I tend to go into states of relaxation more easily, and on top of that, the feeling of pain seems to subside. For example, whenever I'm working out and I feel the onset of muscle soreness, what happens is I will lift and I feel the buildup of that tension in my muscles, right? And then when I breathe out longer, the pain seems to go away. I've tried that with ab exercises, amongst other things, and it seems to miraculously happen. So you should go and try testing it out on places where you might encounter some pain when you're experiencing a headache or whatever that might be. Test it out, let me know down in the comments. If you like what you've heard so far, please remember to subscribe so that you can get additional updates on this though. So a gentleman by the name of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he was a positive psychologist from Russia who went over to the United States and devised this concept called flow. And flow is very powerful because athletes who go into the flow dilate time, seem to be able to see better over long distances for somehow. They create some kind of a tunnel vision and they seem to produce much better results. And I think I know why. It's because during a very heavy competitive environment where you ought to be nervous, instead of focusing on the periphery, they focus deep down inside of themselves and they narrow their vision. It's a very powerful technique, and what adds on to this research comes from the science of learning. A German psychologist by the name of Zeigarnik actually came up with this effect because of interruptions in between study periods. Now, during a learning period, you'll expect that whatever it is that you initially started to learn is going to decline towards the end of a 2-hour time frame, right? So what she did was she interrupted these students who were learning and trying to memorize stuff, and coincidentally or not, she found that their memory seemed to increase. Now, why was that the case? And I suspect it's because every time you zoom out of something and you learn how to zoom back in, you get better at going back into flow faster on demand. And if you can train your mind to do that, wow, you are in such exquisite control over your states that nothing can stop you. I mean, you can have an interruption and that's still okay. So I'd like you to test these things out. What is it that you have to focus on? Now, the last thing is probably one of the most practical things I can tell you, which is really prioritization. I don't think anybody needs to teach you that, but I find that sometimes I forget even the basics. So what I'll do is I'll get myself into a mindful state. I'll detach from the tensions in the morning. I'll go to my computer, turn on a meditative clip, go into a mindful state of meditation first. Take about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll pull out of that. And then I'll get my work done by getting into the focus vision. And through that, I will build inside of myself the right state of, let's go, right? Some kind of drive, some kind of motivation, or some state of curiosity, which also drives a lot of my learning as well. Now, in that kind of mode, I can then look at my work list of priorities, categorize them into the most important and the ones that create the greatest impact, and schedule that. Because the moment I schedule that, I already have external reminders from my calendar, from my calendaring system that will remind me to get this thing done. And then the rest of it is associating the calendar notification with the need to complete it as quickly as I can. So over the course of time, I've realized that these 4 approaches do work very well for me. They work so well that whenever I get up, it doesn't take me more than 15 minutes to get ready to go into flow. So again, these are things that seem to work for me. For some of you, it might actually be common sense. But for the rest of you, maybe you want to test some of these things out. Go test them. Tell me what you found down in the comments below. And if you do, let me know and I'll do my best to produce other videos that could extend your study of focus. So at this juncture, if you found that this was helpful, please like this video so that we can get out this message to more people. And if you have not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button because it will really go a long way in helping us fulfill our mission towards empowering the masses so that they can transcend their thinking beyond just the sufferings and to be able to take the appropriate actions towards their abundance. So until the next video, I'll see you.